Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Mind and Matt podcast. My name is Ian, or I'm Matt234, and this is my co-host Neima Aryan. Neima, how you doing today, bro?
Good man. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you. Done.
he and I have been on two very long trips the past week. Obviously, I was moving back to Houston, and Neima, you were having a little birthday bonanza.
I was.
Where'd you go, bro? Where'd you go?
Went to the Bahamas. Me, my
Ooh,
brother, obviously Jared, Armin, one of my friends, my parents. We went and
man.
had a good time. Bahamas was a blast. Weather was great.
Oh
Went fishing
man.
out there.
Mm-hmm.
That water is unbeatable, man.
Oh, dude, I the last time I went to the Bahamas, I was 15. It's actually a great story. I was
Okay.
15. And it was my sister's senior year, and she went with all her friends. And my parents wanted to go. They're like, "Oh, Ian, you should come along too." I'm like, "Okay, all right, I'll come." And then my dad was like, "I'm gonna be a good father here, and I'm gonna show my son that gambling is not a good thing." And so he took me to a casino the first night we were in the Bahamas. The first night, and God, what was it? We did roulette, and the
Oh,
first the first turn, I said put one on five, put one chip on five, and sure enough, we got a 30 and one for $5, and I made $150 on my first. First, I'm not kidding. My first ever time I did
serious?
gambling in a casino, I made $150. My first ever turn.
Wow, dude, roulette. That's a tough game, man.
And then this then one of the like attendees or like staff there basically was like, sir, how old are you? I'm like, I'm definitely not 18. So, and they're like, sir, you're gonna have to leave because of course, because it's because I won, obviously. If I
Well,
didn't
you with your
win,
dad, so
yeah, I was with.
so
Oh, yeah, it's with my dad,
would
but
have
but I
spiked a
feel like
little
if
bit.
I just kept losing, they would have been like, oh, we'll just leave him here. He's making us
Yeah,
money. But
exactly. But then they're like, okay, we're not gonna let this fly anymore. Get out of here, kid.
oh, dude, but man, yeah, the Bahamas is great. Obviously, was a bit different from you. I was in a car for about 4 days. So
Yeah, man.
I think you had the better the trips than me.
I did, but let's go into that, man. Let's start out with your stream. You had a stream on. You left Thursday, right?
I left. Well, I packed all my stuff up on Thursday, then I left early Friday morning.
Okay, so you had a stream Thursday,
Yeah.
and just take us through doing that stream that night and kind of go into the trip.
Well, actually, I'll do you one better. I'll do both trips, the one from Houston to DC and the one from DC to Houston, because both of them are just two completely separate stories. So going from Houston to DC, about a month before we even went, I didn't have a place actually. I could not find a good place. And I was like nervous that I would be going to GW and have to live in like this on the street basically. I didn't know where I was gonna live. And then I got lucky. I found this one place that's only like 5 minutes away from campus, and it was pretty cheap. I was like, I'm just gonna take it. It looks good, looks nice. Obviously, like the place I lived at, 2500 Penn, was had a lot of issues when it comes to internet, but
Yeah,
overall was a pretty nice place. So I couldn't complain, especially when it came to like kind of last minute. So
you weren't planning. You did GW because you weren't planning to go to actually go in person.
no, yeah, that was.
You wanted to stay remote.
Oh, dude, yeah, I mean, that was a whole rough thing with. I had basically, I'm not calling anyone out, but I had a huge miscommunication with the people of GW about that. It was like because they sent me an email saying that like we recommend you take these classes in this semester, but I was thinking to myself like that's fine. Like I don't really want to take it this semester. I'll take it in the summer semester. But the reason they recommended it was because it was actually they only offered him during the spring semester. So then once I realized that and it was too late, I was like, well, I have to do these classes in the spring semester, and they're obviously not offering them online anymore because COVID's still a thing, but it's not enough thing to where that they're going to do just purely remote. So I had to go there, and I wasn't really super excited to go, to be honest, because I was planning my whole life around to not go to DC and just get my graduate degree online. But that happened, and but things happen for a reason. And DC is a nice place. DC was a really cool place. I really enjoyed it. It was very cold and rainy when I was there most of the time, but the people were nice. I found some really good breakfast places. There was a Trader Joe's right across the street from me, so I didn't have to
Yeah.
worry. Food was never a concern there. Like there was three breakfast places within 5 minutes of me. The Trader
Yeah.
Joe's, and you know that one. Do you know that one place downtown Houston called North Italia? Do you know that place I'm
Or
talking about? Yeah, there's one.
yeah.
There was one
What?
5 minutes away from my house.
Are you serious?
There
But
was
the one here is on San Felipe.
it's on San Felipe, and just by
But that one
happen,
you can't get a reservation.
yeah,
So
and
did you just take stuff to go, or what did you do? Did you
yeah.
go to North
If
Dakota?
I ever went there, it would just really be to go, really. But yeah, like, I basically had all these great food places, so that wasn't really a concern. Yeah, I got to walk around DC a lot. It's really cool. White House is awesome. Monument's cool. Abe Lincoln Memorial, all that stuff. So DC
Yeah.
was great. Like honestly, but moving there was just a complete nightmare to be honest because how the plan was me and my dad were going to drive up there with my car full to the brink of stuff, right? And then my mom would fly up like the day we were planned to arrive basically in DC. But basically when New Year's Day hit, shit completely hit the fan to be honest because we decided to go to the Rockets game the previous night because I was like, I really wanted to try to catch a Rockets game before I left, just because I wasn't going to see one for another couple months. You know, even though the Rockets are bad, I was like, I still wanted to see, wanted to see them play, and I always like Toyota Center, so I went to the game that night.
Jalen Green, bro.
Yeah, Jalen Green, KPJ, and all of them, but looking back on it, probably was a horrible idea because I went to the game, that I came home and I was like, I just felt a little funky, but I was like, it's probably just because I'm tired and I'm moving tomorrow. So no, don't worry, no big deal. And then of course the next day comes and it's pretty cold. Obviously, like Houston doesn't really get that cold, but it was cold that day if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And so me and my dad were going through, what are the states we went through? It was New Orleans, Alabama.
So funky meaning like you felt kind of sick or
Yeah, no,
what?
I just felt like I had like a bit of a headache. I felt a bit dehydrated, but
Oh,
like
okay.
but sometimes sometimes when I come home from a Rockets game, I'm just tired. So like I was like, I'm just probably a bit more tired tonight. And I just maybe I just thought that was like a bit nervous of moving, and just all that stuff. But I thought it just passed through the night. And but the next morning I woke up, I really didn't feel good, but I was just trying to like basically just battle through it essentially because I knew like I had
Yeah.
a multi-day car trip ahead of me, which and as I said, we're going
Okay.
through New Orleans, Alabama, Mississippi,
How
Tennessee.
far did you get before you were like, I feel like shit?
Oh, a couple hundred miles. Like the first day, once me and my dad got on the road, I started to feel really bad. Like it was, I was, it, well, the worst thing is that it's cold, right? It's cold and I'm super sick. So, you know, I'm planning to, of course, do half the drive with my dad, obviously. But the problem is that when I'm super sick, it's hard to really concentrate on the road. I'm not feeling well. So
Yeah. What?
because so what happened was that when I think I did the first stint of driving. Yeah, I did the first stint of driving, and then we had to stop because I told my dad like, "Hey, I'm not really feeling good. Let's just stop and get some food or something." So yeah, we stopped at a Dairy Queen and just to really get me some food because I just wasn't feeling well. And my dad took over, and then I was like, okay, I just probably need some food. Hopefully, I don't feel that bad for that long. But then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and you know, there was a point to
Oh,
where,
fever.
what's up? If fever? Yeah,
No
no,
fever.
fever was definitely happening during that time. Fever, running like anything you can think of when it comes to being sick. That was me
Oh
basically.
God, it sounds
Yeah,
miserable.
and just like you know, driving is already difficult, but driving while basically it felt like I was under the influence basically while if I ever drove during that trip, and man, it was just rough. And honestly, hats off to my dad. My dad was the real MVP of that initial trip because he probably drove. Like there, it was about 1,400 miles to DC from Houston, and he
Okay.
probably did about 1,300 of them. He literally did like,
Serious?
yeah, I could not
Did,
drive.
did the whole trip?
Yeah, I could not drive. I couldn't because
So what happened? So you guys just drove all the way there and you were sick as a dog, and then you guys made it to the apartment, and then
yeah,
you
dude, it's like every single day it was like a bonanza basically across the U.S. Like we, like of course it was middle of winter basically, so we're having to combat snowstorms and it just being getting dark super early in the day, and like a lot of our trips are planned each day for like we try to do 7 hours one day, 7 hours the next day, and then like 6 hours the last day, just to kind of split it up evenly. But the problem was that we had to stop a lot because I wasn't feeling well, so we had to stop for like to give me some food or for me to go to the bathroom or something, just because like is just we probably had to take like 8 to 10 extra stops just because I wasn't feeling well the entire trip. So basically a seven and a half hour drive, which usually like with stops would probably be about 8 hours. It took us like nine and a half, 10 every single day because we had to stop for just something, because we either had to stop because someone had to go to the bathroom, and then we had to do extra stops because I wasn't feeling well, and it was just bad. And then the what was it? The day then the day that we got to DC was probably the worst day because I was of course still extremely sick, and it was just complete snowstorm basically where we were. We had like to wait till about 11 a.m. to even get on the road at that point, just because like this we were probably gonna wait anyways because I wasn't feeling well enough to like even get in the car and like sit in the car. But we couldn't even like move from our hotel. I have like I have photos of my car just completely just covered in snow from where, I forgot where we were. I think we were somewhere. We might have been in Tennessee at that point, and it was just a complete snowstorm.
oh my
And
God,
yeah,
the
and
drive
like
sounds miserable.
yeah, dude, like and like you and I, we don't drive in snowstorm. We just drive in heat, which is there's no drive. We don't have bad driving conditions in Houston. It's just hot. Like there's rain once in a while, but like I mean,
And
snow's
there's a
just a
snowstorm once in a blue moon.
yeah once in a yeah, or if there ever is, to be honest. So you know we have to combat the snowstorm as well as find our way how to even get to DC, and then of course at like 4 p.m. it's already getting dark, and oh my god, dude, the ride into DC was just so scary. I mean, we were going this like it was like called like George Washington like Parkway or something. I swear to God, there wasn't one like street light or lamp in like 10 miles. Basically, just pitch black driving for a bit, and like I am, I was pretty much out of that entire trip. Those 10 miles were like I had never been more concentrated about driving, even though I wasn't driving in my life, just because my dad couldn't really see that well because it was dark. We had our lights on obviously, but we had to be careful. Like, oh, I see something here, I see something there, because we both have talked about like we thought we were kind of lucky to even get past that, or to get to the hotel at that time in DC, because it was just dark and no lights. It was dangerous. Like it was a dangerous road, and I just couldn't understand. I was like, "There's this road leads right into Washington D.C. Why is there no lighting or anything?" It's like literally dangerous. But we somehow got past that, and we come to the hotel. It's probably 10:30, 11 at night right now, and the streets are completely covered with snow, and it's muddy, it's wet. It is just a complete disaster. And my first day in DC was consistently moving into my apartment and then basically being sick, because I do not like to when I have the opportunity to stream, I always do it. Like I don't like taking days off just to take days off. Like I don't stream on Sundays, as a lot of people know, and as you know. But like I other than that, unless if something really comes up, I hate missing days. So I already missed basically 4 days of streaming throughout the week because, man, when was, I believe New Year's Day was a Sunday. So I already missed like 3 streams that week basically because of travel. So, and then I couldn't stream on, it was like Wednesday or Thursday because I just felt so bad. So like that was also just really annoying, and just, the entire, the entire ride in it was just tough. And like moving, Nima, like you and I lived in the same place. Like
Yep.
moving takes a lot. Like and other people that are listening as well, moving is just a complete disaster. You know, something's always bound to go wrong. You have to make sure because it feels like you're gonna forget something. You just have to do like precautionary sweeps of the area whenever you're leaving somewhere. Just make sure, did I leave anything? Did I forget anything? No, maybe.
Moving all of that stuff
Mm-hmm.
back and forth, and you're taking, your car's full, you're driving all the way over there, then you have to take, multiple runs to even get all of your stuff into your
Yep.
apartment. And even before that, you got to go get your key, you have to do other things, and it's just not an easy process. And on
No.
top of that, you're sick. No way.
Yeah, no, dude, it was just not fun. And you know, I
No way.
honestly hats off to my dad because he was Michael Jordan and like game 6 right there, MJ. Like
Sounds like. So when did your mom get in?
so my mom got in the day, so her flight actually got canceled. Forgot to say that
All
her
right.
flight got canceled. So she had to find a flight that was like 6 a.m. the next day to get there. So she was late for her stuff. And then of course what made it worse was that when I was setting up my computer the day that, like the next day after we got in, I forgot my mouse. So she had to bring my mouse for my computer basically. And I only had one mouse at the time. So I had everything set up on my computer except the one thing where I needed to actually move stuff around my computer. I was like the mouse is not here, and I know. So I had to text my mom, and be like, "Yeah, can you bring it on the ride?" So but it all worked out in the end. But I'm really really hats off to my parents. I'm obviously I'm blessed with a great family. It's
Yep.
the just the support that I get from just moving every. I mean, I've gone, man, what is it? We moved into our freshman dorm together. I've moved into Dunham. I've moved that, which is another place I lived in OU. Then we moved into Callaway at OU, and then now going back from Oklahoma then to Houston, then Houston to DC, DC to Houston. Like the one constant is always my parents really helping me out, and man, it's they've been really great for me. But the good thing is that the ride back from DC was really easy.
Tell
Um,
us about yeah. So you got there.
mhm.
So ride back from DC. How was that moving process?
The from going from DC to Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Like,
that. Yeah, that one was actually a breeze to be honest, because I made sure this time that I wasn't gonna be sick, and I was just making sure that I no matter what I'm gonna be healthy for this entire trip. And I actually have something did come up though. One bad thing did come up though. The first day we were driving, it was really heavy rain, and I was like, okay, heavy rain, that's gonna happen, whatever. But the problem was that one of my windshields broke. One of my windshield wipers broke, basically. The
oh
and what made it worse is it was on the driver's side of the car. So the other one was fine. It was
no.
yeah. And so basically for the first 4 hours of the trip, I had to be careful because like I was basically blinded the entire time. The little rubber part at the end of the windshield that actually like wipes the
Yeah.
windshield itself, completely torn off, completely torn off. So
How do you even see? How do you even
I
drive?
I I had to be careful. I mean, I just had to be careful, really. Like there's this, I had to see in front of me. Thankfully, people put their lights on in front of me. When it was raining, so I could actually see something. But I was
Oh, they put their
probably
hazards on.
what's up?
They put their hazards on,
They put
huh?
their hazards on. Yeah, people do that.
Yeah.
Put their hazards on. That's what I did as well. And I'm luckily I could see. But then we found this auto repair shop. Um, where was it? It was in Salem, Virginia, where we found this auto repair shop where this one guy named Tim, super nice guy, really helpful, helped us out with the windshields. We got brand new windshields for like $37. It was a great deal, and now I have
Windshields or windshield wipers?
windshield wipers. Excuse
Oh, I
me.
was gonna be like, whoa,
Yeah,
did you
no, our old windshield didn't break. Don't worry, just the
get
wipers itself.
Joe?
His name was Tim.
Or what? I think it's Tim. Joe.
Yeah, his name. Yeah,
Tim.
his name was
Tim,
Tim.
yeah. I was gonna say Tim did the impossible.
No, Tim came in clutch. I mean, he it was funny. My dad was texting me today, and since Tim was so helpful, he actually my dad did the nicest thing ever. He actually called up Tim. He found out the place. He found the place where he went to, and got the number and then called him and said, "Oh, hey, thanks so much for helping us. I really appreciate it." And I just it was so nice of my dad to call him. And Tim was such a great dude. He honestly he and my dad was the MVP of the first trip. Tim was the real MVP of the second trip because if we didn't get those windshield wipers, I mean, we would have been pretty much done for that first day because that entire first day was just pure rain. So, but other than that, dude, the trip back was really easy.
It took
Um,
two cars, right?
no, it only took one. We only took my Jeep. And then my mom
Fit
flew.
everything in there.
No, well, we didn't fit everything. So like my mom bought like a big suitcase. So she bought home a lot of clothes on because she flew back. She only did the flights. Me and my dad did the car.
Your mom gets
So
the better deal.
yeah, yeah. So yeah. So then she bought up a big suitcase. So I put a lot of clothes in there. So but yeah, everything fit in my car. Thankfully, I'm always afraid that we'd have to use like a U-Haul or something, and I'd honestly rather just use my car to be honest, like because I trust my car. I don't trust a
Oh,
U-Haul.
Rex.
Good old Rex, guys. I
Yeah.
have named my car Rex. If anyone doesn't know, the car's name is Rex. Good old Rex came in clutch. Everything fit in there both times easily, no problems. And I have a lot of very valuable stuff in there. I have this computer that I'm recording this on right now. I got my monitors. I got anything important you can think of is in that car, and it was the car ride was smooth. Everything was great, but I'm just glad to be back in Houston, and I would love to go back to DC again for like a trip. I think DC is a really cool place, but I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe I just caught it at the wrong time because I just didn't really enjoy living there. It's probably just because the weather was so bad the entire time. Like, my first day there was, you know, sub zero temperatures and snowing. Then my last day there was a 50-degree rainstorm. You know,
Wow.
so it just I experienced basically no heat for 5 months. And when me being from Houston, I'm all about heat. So I'm all about
Yeah,
fire over here,
dude,
bro.
I would have taken DC over the Houston Heat.
No, yeah. I mean, like we lived in Norman for a bit, but like it was just different because it was humid in DC as well. Norman never got humid, but DC always was getting humid. So
Oklahoma, I will say, Houston has some pretty bad weather with how hot it is.
oh yeah,
The most sporadic weather that I have endured was in Oklahoma.
yeah,
I would be walking to class one day, sweating so much, or my shirt is drenched. You're walking into class, and then there's another day I was walking to our place, the dorm,
hmm,
and it was pouring. You know those Oklahoma winds, 30 mile per hour winds, and on top of that, it's like 10 degrees. And I'm sitting here thinking, what is happening right now? Because Houston, we don't have that.
no, dude,
But it would go from there would be days when we'd be in Oklahoma, even because I was there for what 4 or 5 years.
yeah,
Even the weather one day would be like 30 degrees, and it would end up the end of the day like 80.
yeah,
How's it possible?
yeah, dude. I mean, OU, Oklahoma, Norman, great place, bipolar weather, but you know, I like Norman though. What do you think about Norman? I thought it was a great place. Good
You
college
know,
town.
I liked OKC better.
You did?
I'm biased towards OKC, but I
Yeah.
mean OKC's newer. It's nice. I've
Mm-hmm.
been around OKC. Norman is cool. It's a nice college town. That's met good people, obviously. I have no complaints with Norman. If somebody's looking for a college town with people that love their football, OU is for you. I stayed out of the way. Ian, you stayed out of the way too. I did different things, but uh, it was I can't complain.
No,
right?
yeah. Norman was great. I enjoyed it. Great
Yeah.
place. If
College Town.
College Town was great. Yeah, if I had to pick one place though, it would definitely be Norman over DC for sure. That sounds like it's such a weird thing, but I don't know. I just felt more at home at Norman just because I feel like I had more. Maybe just because I felt like I had more space for some reason. I guess even though DC didn't feel crowded actually. Like that's the one thing I was surprised at. I thought if I was gonna get a daily routine of being there, it'd be like New York basically, but it didn't
Yeah.
feel like that at all. Like DC's got it's got foot traffic and whatnot, but you can actually I feel like I can actually walk on the sidewalk and not be shoulder to shoulder with people the entire time like I wasn't the last like 3 times I've been in New York. So,
Yeah.
but I just felt more at home than at Norman just because I don't
How
know,
many
more
days
space.
have you been back?
I have been
When?
back. I man, it's been like a blur. I came back Sunday, late Sunday, and so I've been back for since Monday, and then now I'm going. Now since I'm I've been back for about 3 days. Now I'm going back to Dallas to celebrate my sister's birthday this weekend. So it's been I mean it's been insanely busy the last couple of weeks, man. I been doing a lot of stuff and editing videos. I feel like doing school obviously.
Yeah.
Just everything's just been crazy. I feel like I've been productive, but I just feel like I need more time in the day. But it's been a bit busy the last couple weeks. But yeah, no, I've been back for about 3 days. It's good just to feel the heat again. Like just I go outside sometimes. I'm just like, oh, I actually don't have to wear a jacket or anything, so I'm feeling great.
Okay, so let's move on to basketball.
Yeah, dude.
Let's talk about some of these series because we've
Mm-hmm.
been chatting about this. So there's some really good series like Celtics,
Well,
Bucks.
you've been betting on them, so you've been really invested into them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you already know how I feel about Boston, so putting money on Boston and pretty much putting on money on the Bucks not scoring enough, it's going to be double the ante. But that's a good series. Like we just said, Sixers and Heat. It's kind of it's not exciting. It's kind of just Jimmy Butler beating up.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like the Philly Miami series is easily the most boring one
It
because
is.
the first 2 games are blowouts. Game 3 is a blowout. Game 4 was the only semi interesting one with
Yeah.
James Harden actually, looking like James
Hey,
Harden of
we're
old.
gonna save that one. Let's
We'll
save
talk
the.
about that later. We'll talk about that
I
later.
want that moment because I want that moment against you.
Okay.
But let's start with the Bucks and Celtics.
Yeah, dude.
So, what did we see in Game 5?
I mean, if you want to ask me, we saw the Celtics blow it. I'm gonna be honest. I thought they blew it because
100%.
they had control of the game the entire way, up 12 in the fourth quarter, and I felt like there was multiple like that Jalen Brown step back three was just a complete haymaker, and I was like, okay, well they're
Yeah.
looking good. I think that was at the end of the second quarter, but it was just weird. Like it's just it's one of those games where you feel like that you're ahead by 25, but you look up and we're only up by 12. And
Yeah.
two threes will just get you right back in get Milwaukee excuse me right back in
And
the
what was the
game.
max lead? 14?
What's up?
The max lead was
Yeah,
14, right?
their highest lead was 14, but if it felt like 24 though. It like
It
honestly,
did. I will say, right, the Celtics in this case, what I think that just between the two teams, what I'm seeing is the Bucks want it. They're a little bit more grittier. I mean, the last two plays, Drew Holiday is
Drew,
making those two plays. I
dude,
mean, it's just a difference between a team wanting to go to the next round and another team being okay where they're at. And I'm not saying Boston's okay with where they're at,
yeah,
but the issue now is we can't put anybody on Giannis. At least it's crazy to me because Katie is like we were talking about earlier on. Katie is unstoppable.
yeah,
You Boston has to send two people on him. Grant
mm,
Williams, I will say, played really well against him.
mm.
But Grant Williams in this series against Giannis
He's been destroyed.
is destroyed. He can't, and I can't even complain about the fouls because he genuinely cannot stop Giannis.
No, he
That
really
last play,
can't.
Giannis just gets ahead of steam. They Let's talk about the last play that Boston really had to stop him. Jason Tatum goes to the rack, gets fouled on the hand by Bobby Portis.
Yep.
Okay, he hits 2 free throws. I'm looking at this already knowing Giannis is going to fly down the lane
Hmm.
and he's going to go either score or get a foul call. And what does he do with the foul call?
Yeah.
They send Al Horford and they send Grant Williams. So Al Horford's on Giannis's left and Grant Williams on the right
Yeah.
for some weak, loose double team to where Giannis just says, "Oh, Grant Williams laterally cannot keep up with me. One dribble, okay, wow."
Yeah.
So you can't do anything.
No, I completely agree. And then I will give Giannis this. I do appreciate how he's not the greatest. We all know he's not the greatest shooter. Obviously, he's improved, but he's still not great. But he does, and from a couple years ago, I felt like he was very scared in the clutch to even like take the shot. That's why Middleton was always taking shots for them down the stretch. And then, but once they started to get, once when they became champions was when Giannis had the ball in the last seconds of the game. And just what it proved tonight. I know he missed a free throw, but just his willingness to drive to the basket now and take that foul or take the shot, it just makes him that much of a better player, makes Milwaukee so much better. But he misses the free throw, and then the Celtics.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know what Marcus Smart was doing because he's coming in from the top, and I think it was either Grant Williams or Al Horford had the rebound, and Marcus Smart tries to rip it away from him like he's on the Bucks. I don't know what he was doing, dude. And then Bobby Portis gets the ball on the offensive rebound for the free throw, and then he lays it in, and Milwaukee leads. A complete meltdown, in my opinion, because Boston had the rebound right in their hands, and Marcus Smart, man, those last 2 minutes were horrible. I gotta be honest. Drew Holiday ate him up. Drew Holiday hit a three on him to tie the game up, and then he basically botches that, and loses the rebound. Bobby Portis gets it. Next play, he gets blocked by Drew Holiday, and the final play turns it over. I mean,
Yep.
Marcus, and I think that's like the one concern that Boston fans, I'm sure you had it with Marcus becoming point guard, that sometimes it just feels like that he calls his own number when it's like, bro, it's not your time. It's really not your time. You get the ball to
One
Jason.
thing I don't like about Marcus Smart, the one.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Smart, the one, if played correctly, if you play a loose lineup where you're not strictly a point guard, like Magic Johnson, right? Magic Johnson can literally play everything,
Yeah.
right? Every single position. I'm seeing Marcus playing the point guard as there is no point guard on the there's no true point guard on the Celtics team. There
Yeah.
isn't.
No.
It's just you have one player that is supposed to be your anchor defensively
Mm-hmm.
for from a perimeter standpoint. Then you got your two Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum,
Yeah.
your 1-2 punch,
Mm-hmm.
and with Al Horford and it shows. Every time it says Robert Williams is out, I'm pulling my hair out because
Yeah.
that play it doesn't happen. Bobby Portis, I don't think he's going to get that rebound over Robert Williams.
Now, if you have a lineup of Smart, Tatum, Brown, Horford, and Robert Williams, that paint is clogged. The Giannis, honestly, Giannis can't get in the paint at that point because Robert Williams is such a talented guy, talented
He is.
defender. He would really help out there. But I mean, no, I honestly Milwaukee's been missing Middleton the entire series, and hats off to them, man. Him being out and Grayson Allen stepping up for them, huge. He stepped up in the first round for him. He's been really good in the second round, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They really. I mean, I honestly thought Boston win this in 5 games without Middleton, but they've showed that they're a lot deeper than just Middleton, to be honest. But
Dude,
I mean,
even as a Boston fan, I couldn't even definitively say that. I couldn't sit there and say Boston 5 without Chris Middleton. Just because of Drew. Okay, let me get to that. But
mhm,
Drew Holiday is that piece that teams dream about.
yeah.
He's the guy that if our Houston team had that piece with James or with
Oh,
James at CP3,
Drew
I mean,
Hall. I mean, yeah, dude. Drew would be amazing with James.
that piece, and maybe it's not Drew in that case, but just that player. He fits in this lineup.
Yeah.
He is literally what Marcus Smart should be doing for Boston. Because Drew Holiday doesn't go and he will, hold the ball and go around and get the play rolling. But Giannis is the one and Chris Middleton, they're the ones attacking and they have the majority of the time the ball's in their hands.
Hmm.
Drew Holiday shoots and gets his number called when it's his time.
Yeah.
You were just saying.
But he's also a
Mark
good offensive player as well. He's so much better than offensively.
he's a top five two-way, like a two-way guard in the league for me.
He you can argue he is the best. Honestly, his defense is that good, and his and he's obviously won a championship with Milwaukee. He's such a great point guard. He shoots, he can drive, he can pretty much shoot anywhere he wants. But man, his defense is wow.
It's unreal.
He's such
Was
a
he
good
really
defender.
the player of the year conversation?
No, bro, he wasn't. He wasn't. But I mean, he every night now in the playoffs, he just proves that he is probably the best. You can argue he's the best two-way player right now. I mean, usually it was Kawhi, right? Kawhi or PG, but
Yeah.
those guys barely played the entire year. I don't. I wouldn't mind giving it to Drew. I know again, Giannis. Like, you could argue the Bucks have the first and second best two-way players in the league. Giannis and Drew. You can argue that like easy argument because they're both that good.
Marcus Smart, he's not as offensively good as
No.
he has this JR tendency
Oh yeah.
of kind of being a spark plug. He's a spark plug in the fact of he can come into a game and if he hits one of his threes and he gets rolling a little bit, right? Boston will find their groove if they're not feeling it, if Jason and Jalen are not creating the offense.
Right.
But when he goes cold and he's in the IQ that he's playing, right? Why are you battling with Al Horford on the rebound? If you're the guard, let him get it. You don't need to do that. That's why Al is there. It actually worried me in the game before it, game 4.
Mm-hmm.
Boston won. But then what worries me is Al Horford has to drop 30 for them to win.
Yeah.
Horford, Al Horford should not be dropping 30. He's not going to be dropping every night 30 points.
No.
So that 30 points has to come from somewhere else. And if it doesn't come from him, who is it going to come from? Because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown right now, right? Let me see. Can you show me Jason and Jalen's stats here?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I thought Jalen played okay, and then I thought Tatum played pretty well.
34.
Yeah.
And Jalen, they offensively did what they did, right?
Yeah. No, they played well.
They played really well. But I don't even have any complaints with them across the board.
Yeah. I honestly just think when it comes to Marcus, it's his late game IQ because, I watch, I'm obviously a huge Rockets fan, but I watch a lot of other games as well. I've watched a lot of Celtics games in the past, 8 years since Marcus has been there. I mean, there are so many times where I'm just banging my head where he takes a late game 3, and I'm like, dude, stop calling your number at the end of games. And and especially like again of game 5, he goes to try to take the layup on Drew and Grayson Allen, I believe it was. Like, dude, you're telling people to move and everything, but you're already driving to the rim at that point. Like why are you trying to drive to the rim? You need to wait for the play to develop, man, because there was still time on the clock to where they could have actually got another, a better shot. But Marcus Smart just goes instantly.
Yeah, Grant Williams he can't have 0 points.
No, he didn't play well. He got lit up and he didn't make any of his threes, I think.
In the Bucks, but I don't know. But I bet Boston will take it to game 7, but I can't definitively say. I think I hate saying this. It's Bucks in 7.
I think Milwaukee closes it out in 6. I'm gonna be honest. I think Milwaukee wins game 6. There's games like tonight where
Chris coming back.
I don't know when Chris is coming back, but I don't think he's coming back next game. If he is, then I think it's GG's still. But like, it's games like this where you're in a situation to go up 3-2. Like, this brings me back to a couple of years ago when the Rockets could have gone to the Spurs could have gone up 3-2 against the Spurs in 2017. up, 4 or 5 at the end of the game, and then they blow it, it goes to overtime, and they lose. And like, there's some losses that are just so demoralizing that it actually just it will carry over to the next game. And I honestly, like, I just don't see Boston winning Game 6, and I feel like that Giannis is just. It's surprising how there's not many players that win a championship and then the next year they come out like a shark, because people will come out, fat. I wouldn't say fat, but lazy basically after winning a championship. He's like, oh, I haven't. It's like he hasn't won
Also,
anything.
it was a shorter off season
It was a little bit,
too.
yeah, a little bit of shorter off season
And
as
you can
well.
argue, and I don't remember what I was listening to. It's probably something on ESPN, but they were saying it's kind of easier to go from finishing out the finals and having less of an off season,
Hmm.
getting right back into the game.
I didn't
And
think
I
about
can
that.
agree with that. I can agree with that. But I think at the same time, I respect Giannis a lot because it takes a lot out of your body. And you don't have that longer. So the off season, everything comes with a price, you
Hmm.
know? Uh so but your thoughts, man. Give me
Well,
some of your thoughts on that.
yeah, no, I think I didn't really think about that, because what the you talking about short off seasons, the
Mm,
Lakers and Heat had like a 60-day off season in
yeah.
2020. They had a really short off season. Of course, LeBron complained about that, but that's whatever. But Giannis, I mean, I kind of think, like, I kind of like that idea. Like, you just won a championship, but you're still kind of in game mode.
Yeah.
The off seasons are usually are about 4 months or so. I'd say about three and a
Yeah.
half, 4 months. But this one was about a little under 3, or about 2 or so. No, it wasn't 2. It was about a little under. I think it was a little under 3, two and
Yeah,
a
like
half.
two.
I'd say like 2.5. It was like what it was. I think the finals were in mid-July. So you basically have a shorter off season, and you can just get right back into it. You're working for next year at that point, basically, because it was a shorter off season. And I think that could have played into the advantage of the Bucks, honestly, because I didn't really think about that. They're still in a go now mode, and then obviously during the regular season they can still kind of rest their players and get ready for the playoffs for this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to back. Like, it's just that's how good I never thought Giannis could be this good, but he's
That
completely
is,
ascended.
I love Giannis because he's a player that he just develops.
Yeah,
He develops. He cannot even shoot a fraction of what he could shoot now.
yeah.
He actually will hit some shots. And even if he's not shooting as consistent as we want him to, even if he's shooting 30 to 40% from the field,
Hmm.
even 25 to 40,
Yeah, from
right?
like the 3 and mid range area.
I'd be worried. I'd be scared
Hmm.
because I don't want to play a player that big, that close.
No.
With that speed and the length that he has with every step, it's you really are at a disadvantage. So what am I going to do,
Yeah, I mean,
right? Now I have to actually, huh?
I think he shot 42% for mid range this year, which doesn't sound great, but just like it's been a slow progression of just development for him. And then, like, I'm not saying he's going to shoot 42% from the 3-point line eventually, but just the fact that he now can more or less comfortably shoot those shots makes him so much better, and makes him so much dangerous. Makes the Bucks, a potential dynasty in the making, just because of his work ethic, basically.
Yeah. And no, but I think that's good about the Bucks because we could go on all day. But
Hmm.
let's go to another series.
Yeah,
And
which one do you
I
want to do?
want to talk about the Warriors Grizzlies
Warriors, Chris. Yeah.
because I really want to talk about what happened tonight.
Yeah,
Um,
man, that was a complete and utter massacre. I mean, it's. I mean, that's just. I mean, they won 134-95. Went final just about an hour ago. I was talking with my mom about this one. I thought it would be a 5 game series, done and dusted. Even though the Grizzlies play really well without John Morant, I just thought this isn't some regular season game. This is the Golden State Warriors we're talking about. I mean,
yeah,
and honestly, like, they got killed. I still don't think there's that much concern though. To be honest, they're going home for Game 6. They don't have Jaw on the road. I mean, obviously, they made Game 4 really close, even without Jaw. But I
Yeah.
mean, I don't. To me, I don't really see this continuing all that much. Who did you have to win this series before it even started? I had Golden State winning.
Yeah, are you kidding me? I had Golden State in either like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh, but it is what it is, right? They're gonna win the series. Warriors are, but I will say, John Morant not playing on this team. This is kind of a very hot take.
mhm,
This team is just as good, if not better. And the reason I say that is John Morant's an amazing player, but that ball, how it's moving, how it was moving tonight,
mhm,
and just how they attacked, it's just a fluid offense. Because when a team wants a player to do so much, it's like wrestle.
yeah,
When a team wants a player to do so much, it makes the offense stagnant.
yeah,
Stagnant in the fact of how if he keeps it, keeps getting the ball, attacking the basket, and trying to create his own offense, you're not moving. Nobody's moving. And you're gonna have to do a lot of ISO ball,
yeah.
James Harden stuff.
James Harden,
So
ISO, yeah,
I think that they're still gonna win, but I'm with you. I think they're going to win. Warriors are gonna win tomorrow.
yeah,
Even if the Grizzlies are gonna play well, man, the Warriors walked in and they don't have Ja. We already just won last night. Let's just and then boom, they get punched in the face, and
mhm,
they're now sitting here like, okay, this Warriors team. One I think I have to say is they do not take kindly to getting beat up on.
no,
They will attack them next game. They're gonna shoot. Steph's gonna have 25. Clay's gonna have 20. Jordan Poole's probably gonna have 30.
yeah,
And
no.
it's gonna be 15-point plus win for Golden State.
I'd agree with that. I think Golden State's going to close it out in 6. Honestly, even despite that, I think Memphis had a really good year. Obviously, like it sounds like we're counting them out right now, but I don't see them going back 3. Even if they're playing better without Ja, I don't see them coming back from down 3-1 against Golden State. But they've had a good year. I mean, 56-26, second round appearance. Against I think they kind of ran into a Golden State team that's been one of the best teams in the past or all time, really. I was gonna say the past like 20 years, but probably one of the best teams all time, really. In terms of just longevity. But I think they've had a really good year. They can come back next year. I do think the one thing they have to improve on is that what you said about ball movement and everything. That during the year they played so much better without Ja, and it started to actually become like a kind of a weirdly big sample size. Like usually, like if
I was actually wanting to bring that up. Like I cannot remember the sample size, but it was it was at least 20 games. Maybe we could look it up, but it was quite a bit of games.
I can look it up right now. I believe it was like 25. It was like it was like probably 20-1. Or sorry, it was crazy without John Morant. But yeah, I
20,
mean it started to yeah, they won 20 of their 24 games without John Morant. They're 20-4.
at least 20 games.
I mean, and so they basically won. They won 56 games overall. So if you do the math, basically they had a better winning percentage without John Morant. And for 24 games, that's like, as I said, a weird sample size. Like usually if that happens, it's like, oh, they were 5-2 without him or whatever. Like it's like, oh, it's 7 games, whatever. But over a quarter of the year, that's a bit shocking, to be honest. And the last 2 games, usually that stuff doesn't roll over to the playoffs, obviously, because it's like, oh, you really need your stars to win championships and whatever. And I'm not saying that if they do something with Ja, if he was on the team, they wouldn't they have a better chance of winning. But
Yeah.
game 4, they are in position to win that game in the fourth quarter. They're up 12 with about, I think it was about 8 minutes left. Even without Ja, they're in position to win
Yeah.
that game. They blow it, but I thought it was going to be a blowout from the onset, but they controlled the game for basically about 38 minutes. And then this game, they win by 50.
It won't be good for Ja if the Warriors lose and there's no Ja. My concern is that the NBA is trying to make Ja Russell Westbrook again.
I don't know. I mean, like, well, I think they see this that he's the same type of mold like a Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook, right? You know, hugely athletic. Obviously, he shoot a lot better than those guys, but hugely athletic, big, marketable star. I hope that he doesn't turn into Russell Westbrook. I mean, Russell Westbrook is obviously a Hall of Famer, multiple time All Star, All NBA, but like, I mean, in terms of when it comes to like winning, basically, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I hope that it doesn't turn to that, and I don't think it will. Ja is Ja is 25 years old. He's still got plenty of time to develop.
Five?
He's 25, yeah. So he's got plenty of time to develop. I think he's fine. And honestly, the one thing I like about Ja is that he's a very selfless kind of guy. Like I always I follow him on Twitter. He's always like he's always hyping up his teammates. Like, oh, they're really good. They're just as good as me. All that stuff. So I appreciate him supporting his teammates because I feel like a lot of stars um
Yeah, I think that
they think inward about
most
themselves.
improved. Yeah, I think they should have given Jordan Poole that most improved.
Yeah, I think the most improved. I think when it comes to most improved, because his jaw was already really good, but I mean, he had such a great year. Regardless about who wins the award, he's still a great player. But I think going into the future though, I think Grizzlies have JJJ, Jaren Jackson Jr. is really good. Jaw's really good. Desmond Bane's really good. I think they do will need one more piece though. If they really want to be a championship contender because I can see them being the second seed next year. What do you think? What do you think? I think they can win 55 games next year for
I
sure.
think they're going to keep getting there because their team is solid, right? Desmond Bain is good. Kyle Anderson plays his role. Steven Adams, Brandon Clark. This team is not a bad team. Dylan Brooks when he shoots well, but I feel about Dylan Brooks. It's a tough team to beat when the offense is really flowing. And that's what happens when John needs to take control of a game. If he's getting the ball every possession for 2 to 3 minutes for 2 minutes straight, you know as well as me, it's hard to get somebody in motion
Yeah.
because being cold and stagnant and playing in the half court, it's gonna kill you.
We've seen it with James. Like it's because it's predictable offense and it's easy to defend at the end of games. And the guy that's ISOing naturally is going to get tired because he's being hounded essentially the entire game. Now he's having to do the same stuff at the end of the game. It just gets harder and harder. But and I mean, if you're talking about Dylan Brooks, he really needs to improve his offensive IQ this offseason. He's a really good defensive player. He's got really good offensive potential, but man, he needs to. He reminds me a bit of Marcus Smart, funny enough, just because like there's sometimes where he'll just call his number where it's like it's not your time, bro. Like it's this is not you. You need to get the ball up because there's a lot of shots where he takes them just like dude, this step back three with 3 minutes ago in the fourth quarter. This is not a good shot, and
Yeah.
yeah, he needs to really work on that. But I think that series has been. I think that series has been interesting. Games 1 and 2 were really good. I thought Jaw was great in game 2. Game 3, of course, is a blowout. Game 4 was really good. Game 5 again, another blowout. But I mean, overall, I think a pretty good series. Between an up and coming team and obviously a dynasty like Golden State. But I
Yeah.
think the one series. I mean, I don't really want to talk about Philly and Miami. I think that series is kind of boring.
The
I mean,
only thing I would say,
you want to talk about James Harden though. You said you want to talk about James Harden though.
let's just get it out of the way. It's going to be like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Philly is not winning this
No.
series without James Harden. And James Harden's not James Harden.
No.
So it's not going to happen. I will say I did enjoy watching him go off because
Yeah.
it was like I was watching Rockets James all over again. And it blows my mind how you just missed like it's over. It's like overnight. After 1 year, 2 years, it's like it's gone. He was number one in everything. And now when he does, he just looks like he's old and running around. And I was watching some of his highlights the other day. Like this dude was genuinely, arguably the greatest offensive player of all time.
Mm-hmm.
How he could create his own shot, how he could score. He was a volume shooter. He could put numbers on you. The offense was never an issue for him.
No.
He would put 50 on your head and then he would walk away. And as he got older, he played good post defense. His defense got a lot better. So I'm watching him play and I'm like, wow. Imagine that James with Joel Embiid.
Yeah, dude.
You're not losing.
You're not. No, you're literally not. You're the favorite to win, and that's like and
Never lose. They're
yeah,
beating the Bucks.
yeah. And but the I guess because everyone was talking about it on Twitter, and it's like this come to Jesus moment when he went off, and I'm like, it's crazy that now it's like the reaction to James going off, because like it felt like I've seen that movie hundreds of times where it's a close game in the fourth quarter. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna put y'all away now. This game's over. I'm gonna hit two or three step back threes.
They weren't clear shots. They were heavily contested shots.
They were heavily armed contested shots. They were all up in him.
Unreal. And
Yeah.
I was kind of sad.
It was a bit. I was watching. I was like, I wanted to clap a bit. I'm like, I don't like him anymore. I was like, good job though. It was like it felt like it was like some nice throwback nostalgia for me. But I was like, I shouldn't feel like this should be some nostalgia for me. He should be doing this every night. But he's just, unfortunately, he's just lost a step. And like it's been apparent the entire year that he's just not the same player he is, which is is
No,
unfortunate for him. It's unfortunate for the Sixers, who are gonna have to pay him $200 million plus over the next 5 years. But it just I don't know if it's his hamstring bothering him, but basically, since he's came to Philly, he hasn't played well at all. Really, he's played.
no, and Danny Green is very subpar.
Yeah,
Really,
he's on and off. Really.
the only good thing about that team is Joel Embiid. Like
Yep.
Joel Embiid is one of those players. When I'm talking about Giannis, there's not really a freak in the NBA. That's why they call him the Greek freak.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really a freak in the NBA, but Joel Embiid is that one of those guys.
Yeah.
He literally, Hakeem was, in my opinion, and it's biased, is the greatest center of all time.
Yeah.
If he's not, he's easily top three. But Hakeem didn't have as deep of a bag as Joel Embiid.
Yeah. Wow. That's a hot take, but
No, it's not as a hot take. I'm not saying bag as in the moves that he has. Joel Embiid can do more. It's just the game has evolved.
yeah. Well,
Hakeem is
you shoot the three. Hakeem never shot the three, obviously, because
Hakeem
it was a different that was a different era though. I feel like if Hakeem was in this era
of
though,
course.
he would be a 40% 3-point shooter.
No, of course, but it's not three. He can. Do you see how Joel Embiid will break you down from the 3-point line and do a little step to the side, step back, and he gets a lot of those and one
yeah.
midi. He's playing like a guard.
Mm-hmm.
Hakeem didn't play like a guard, right? He could cross you a little bit, but they weren't moves that like he's crossing like it's KD and just pulling up.
Yeah, Embiid's great. I love his motor as well. He's got a great motor. He's really embraced that city's identity 100%, and I think the fans love it. But it's
Broken face doesn't help, man.
yeah, dude. I completely applaud him for playing basically with as you said, I think it was an orbital fracture.
You know how bad that probably hurts to play, and every time you jump,
Oh,
your
I didn't even think about that, dude.
you
Like
land.
you
He's
land.
300 pounds landing. Boom.
Oh, dude.
He's feeling it. That mask doesn't do anything
No,
in that.
it's probably fogging up and all that stuff, and then
Face the other day.
yeah, dude, got
Again,
hit.
he's doing everything. He's putting his life on the line.
Yeah,
But that's really what all I want to talk about with Philly. It's going to just come down to the cards are not there for them. James is not playing like James. Joel Embiid is injured and he's by himself right now. So then Jimmy Butler is just he's got this his motor's insane. He's in a different zone.
Jimmy's great.
He's putting away these games like it's nothing.
Question
But
for
let's
you. A question for you, real quick,
yeah.
before we go to the next series. Does Doc get fired if they lose this series? Do you think he's
Yeah,
done? You think he's
yeah,
done?
yes,
I agree.
100%. He's gone.
Yeah,
He is
and you know,
100.
and you can get. And who do you think's gonna replace him? I'll give you one guess because I feel like I know who's gonna replace him.
An active coach or a coach that does not on the team.
Any coach you can think of.
Even a team coach that's not like actively coaching
Yeah,
a team. Right?
actively coaching a team. I'll give you one guess. I feel like the guess is.
You say D'Antoni.
I would say Mike D'Antoni. I'd say Mike
You
D'Antoni.
think Daryl Morey's gonna do the Rockets experiment? No.
He would, dude. I guarantee you he would.
I
Yeah, dude. He would.
get him away from Brooklyn.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was assistant in Brooklyn with James, and I just have a feeling that D'Antoni will find his way back with James Harden and Daryl Morey, the perfect offensive threesome in the NBA for the last half decade.
And then Joel Embiid. Oh man.
Yeah, I think, and then I don't know where Doc goes from here, man,
No,
because
I think he's done, dude. Like,
no, I don't. I think someone will pick him up. What I could see was it if he'd want to, he gets fired from Philly, and then he goes to coach Utah. But I mean, or the Lakers, or he could go to the Lakers. But I mean, I don't. I mean, if they lose the series, I don't see him coming back next year. But
no,
I could be wrong.
no, dude, you're right. I agree with you because you got to think, what is the only way that you can maybe fix this James Harden situation?
It's
You really have to spend a lot of money. You might as well try to fix it. What's
yeah,
the one way to fix it?
Mike
What's really
D'Antoni.
the only way? You can make some trades, but other than that, you're gonna have to change coach, right?
Yeah. It's gonna have to you have to see if James can unlock his offensive game with Mike D'Antoni. I think that's the only way you can affect your best way to win a championship.
Them because I mean, Joel Embiid is not. Amari Stoudemire is not Joel Embiid. Like
No,
they're
Joel Embiid's no Joel Embiid's another beast than Amari. No offense to Amari, but Joel's
yeah,
great.
it's just it's going to be interesting to see how they implement a 7-second offense.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I can see.
but no, but that series we know what's going to come
Yeah,
down to. But
I'd say Miami in 7. Miami wins in like a 30-point blowout in Game 7 though. That's what I would say.
agreed. I want to talk about Phoenix and Dallas.
Yeah,
So I think Phoenix is going to win this thing.
yeah.
It's going to be okay for game 6. I think they're going to close them out next game.
I kind of agree with you. This series has been a kind of a hard one to read for me because it seems like it's been the same way like Philly and Miami, but it just seems more interesting for some reason. Maybe just because I'm a huge Chris Paul fan. Because since he had those 2 years in Houston, I've always felt like that he got completely just screwed over by Daryl Morey and James Harden, in my opinion, with how all that played out. But I mean, Phoenix comfortably won games 1 and 2, and then they pretty much get blitzed in Game 3 and Game 4, and then they come back and blow them out in Game 5. I mean, oh my god, that second half of Game 5, Michael Bridges, dude. That guy was all over the place. It felt like every time. I felt like Dallas didn't have a shot attempt for about a shot, like not just like just not even making a field goal, a shot attempt for like 3 minutes because Michael Bridges was stealing the ball every 2 seconds. They had 12 turnovers in the third quarter. Dallas had 12 turnovers.
Bridges is one of those guys that he's a perfect piece.
Yeah,
Because he is so good defensively. But I think they're going to close. I think Phoenix will close them out because, I don't want to bring this up, but, game 4, CP3 is not ejected, fouled out with 10 minutes left in the fourth.
yeah.
9 minutes. Okay, if the Mavs don't win that game, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
Yeah, Chris Paul just hasn't played well on the road, though. To be honest, like those games,
on the road, he hasn't, but dude, in Phoenix,
yeah.
oh my gosh, what he did in New Orleans, 14 for
Well,
14.
yeah. Let me backtrack on what I said. When I meant road games, I meant games 3 and 4 in the Dallas series. The games 3 and 6 in New Orleans, that was some special stuff from Chris.
You know, he
obviously.
hasn't been good at all.
Yeah.
Uh, not good at all. I mean, he's always, a certain level of good, but I think Phoenix is just has a little too much firepower.
No, I agree.
Luca was winning. Was that game? I think this is game four. Luca was finding the open man, right?
It was game four. Dorian Finney-Smith went crazy in game four.
Finney Smith went in, and Stephen A was even saying, I would let Luca shoot.
He's
I,
honestly not that great of a 3-point shooter. Like it's, I mean, he's not bad, but like compared to an wide open Dorian Finney-Smith or Reggie Bullock, I'd rather have Luca take a step back three. Like I'm sorry, like it's, and those are tough shots, and I feel like Dallas right now, how their team's constructed, it's when obviously when if Luca's in the post against a smaller defender like Chris, and Jalen Brunson's been doing the same. They've been posting up Chris Paul and all the smaller guard series. They've been just working them. I think like if he can operate out of that mid post area, they're really good. And he can find the open man in the corner because Bullock and Finney Smith have been great from three point range of the series. They've been great. And Finney Smith was at 8 of 12 from 3-point range in Game 4. They have so many great shooters, and Luka, of course, is a brilliant, excellent passer and scorer. But I feel like that if they want to come back and win this series, win games 6 and 7, they just have to realize post up the guards, do a kind of a 4-out 1-in offense with the offense, and just let Brunson Luka go to work on just someone smaller. Just try to find that smaller dude on them. Like if it's campaign, if it's Landry Shamet or Chris Paul, you just got to do it. I think that's how they can. That's how they'll win the
yeah,
series.
uh, ooh, I just go. Yeah, you have to attack, and no, it's Devin Booker's been playing well. Stephen A said something the other day, and I want to even ask you about it because it kind of I don't know how I feel about it. Stephen A. Smith, and I'm more on JJ Redick's side. He was saying, Stephen A. Smith said, Devin Booker needs to do more. He had 20 at the half for game four.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there, okay, do more. My opinion, how much more is he going to do in the first half? Okay, he could score 30, score 40, but at
He's
that
a
point,
great he's a great first. He's always been a great first half scorer. I think when he means to do more, it's like when Chris Paul's in foul trouble, right? And I think this is the next step for Devin Booker, which I think Devin Booker is great because I feel like that he's taken all Chris Paul's lessons and run with them.
yeah.
But I think the next step for him is I think in that game 4 was a great example that Chris Paul fouls out with basically a quarter to go essentially, and the offense just to me didn't look the same without him. And I'm like Devin, Devin's a great scorer. Obviously, he can score from anywhere, and his passing's improved for sure. But I just feel like in terms of running an offense, it obviously no one's Chris Paul, but you have to learn how to become a semi point guard as a shooting guard now. It's just how it is, especially when you're the team's best player. I'd say as you can say Chris Paul's the best player, he's their most important player. I think Devin's their best player. He needs to learn how to, especially as a guard, to run the offense effectively. And I feel like that Dallas is a great defensive team, obviously, but you've got to just find ways how to do it. And if that's by calling your number, go ahead. But you got to get the team in offensive sets and getting good shots. And I don't feel like that Phoenix really got any good shots in
Yeah,
that
no,
game
they did.
4. And and I just feel like it was just down Devin Booker that just not really commanding the offense that well. And also, give credit to Dallas; they're a great defensive team, but you
They're a
know,
great team. It just, with this series, what it comes down to is Luca needs something else. Spencer Dinwiddie has not been as good in this
he's
series
been a bit quiet, and Brunson's been up and down as well.
yeah, as I'd hoped. And Brunson has been very streaky. Luca's been okay. And I mean
No,
Luca hasn't maybe he's finding the open guy, he's
yeah,
getting his points. But the thing about Phoenix is they got a few more weapons in the tank.
yeah, no, they do. I mean, they're super deep. I mean, Cam Johnson coming off the bench, man. Cam Johnson can light it up. Bismack Biyombo. Landry Shamet, they played great in Game 5. They've just, I feel like, they even have Torrey Craig on the bench, he doesn't even play that much, but I like Torrey Craig. I think he's a great 3 and D type of player. But, they've got a great deep team, and I feel like that, I am starting to sense the loss of Tim Hardaway Jr. more and more on the road
Oh,
for the Mavericks. Because I feel like that the home games they can win without him. Those road games when they need like more of a veteran presence, I'd say. I mean, obviously Bullock's a veteran, but I feel like that Hardaway's is another dude where they can plug in and he can get hot in a hurry and really help them. But he hasn't played for a very long time now, and I think they're starting to actually miss him because I feel like that Utah series was just. It was to me like it was good Dallas, but it was a lot of bad. I think it was more bad Utah as well. So they could have they could have won that without
who's
him.
winning that series?
Who's winning what series?
Um, the one we just talked about, Dallas
Oh,
and
Dallas and Phoenix. I say I'm gonna say Phoenix in 6. I'm gonna say Phoenix closes out next game.
I think
I think Chris Paul is gonna respond because he was a bit subpar in Game 5. They didn't really need him though. But I'd say Chris Paul responds with he won't go 14 for 14 from the field, but I think he's gonna have a good game, and I'd say Phoenix is gonna win by, let's say 8. I'll say Phoenix 108, Dallas
I
100.
got it. I'm going to Vegas, and I'm gonna.
You going to Vegas? No, you need to go back to the Bahamas and bet that actually.
Okay, so let's kind of talk about what you wanted to talk about earlier. The Zombies for Charity.
Yeah,
Can you kind of talk about how did you get involved in
yeah.
Z?
So for my zombies viewers, Zombies for Charity, the captain's draft is coming up on May the 14th. So obviously, like, Neima, I know you're a bit new to this, obviously, but Zombies for Charity is a huge thing in the zombies community. It used to be run by a lot of like, huge, zombies content creators. They're not involved this time, but I think, obviously charity is a very important thing, great. And so whenever you hear Z4C in the zombies community, it's a pretty big deal. So I'm honestly honored to be a part of it. How I got involved though was, it was kind of random, to be honest. I was a bit surprised that I wasn't sure I was gonna get involved at all. But one of the guys, Caleb Ross, that I was talking with, he and I were on a team for another event that we've been doing the last couple of weeks. There's some fun zombies speedrunning event, and we were just talking in DMs, and he's like, "Hey, we need another captain. Do you want to be the captain?" And I'm like, wait, what? Like, just completely out of the blue, and I'm just surprised about it. And of course, I'm like, hell yes, I'm 100% in. Get me in here. And so now there's 6 teams, and honestly, like, I'm just super honored to be involved. I've done one charity event on my stream before, and I'm happy that I'm going to be doing another because obviously I think charity is just a great way just to give back to the community and people that are in need, really. And I think it's just very, very positive. It's always positive to do charity stuff, and Z4C is a huge thing, and the actual event's happening in about a month or so, but the Captain's Draft is on Saturday. And for a lot of the challenges, I haven't had a lot of time to prepare because they told us the challenges on the 2nd, so they gave us enough time to prepare. But the problem was it was such a weird time for me because obviously, as we talked about, I've been moving, and now I'm going to see my sister tomorrow for her birthday. So I'm a bit nervous on how I'll do in the captain's draft, but I'm really happy to be involved. Shout out to Caleb and the rest of the team for putting it on. These events like this, they don't come that often, really. Zombies World Championship doesn't happen that often. Z4C, and these things are very hard, difficult to make. And I just hope that when it actually happens, that we can all come together and raise a lot of money for charity. I believe, if I remember correctly, the goal is, I believe it's $10,000 this year. So hopefully we can hit that. That would be awesome. And I'm just excited to be a part of it. And I think it's just something positive that the community needs, and I think it's great for anyone's channel. In my opinion, it's just a positive way to get involved, really. And if anyone is watching, I highly recommend you guys go and donate to the cause. It's really good. Obviously I'm going to be in it, so I think it's pretty
Yeah.
I'll endorse it, obviously, I guess. So if you want to donate any money, I think you should definitely do it there. But yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited.
Cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Um,
obviously you're a bit new to the zombies community. But you'll I'll make you watch it. But and you'll really enjoy it. It'll be great. Well, I think that's everything that I have for today's podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. As I said in our trailer, excuse me, that our episodes will be on Wednesdays, but obviously this one's gonna be on Thursday just because me and Neima had really crazy schedules and we're recording this really late. But we'll try to record them, obviously early in the day when we're more fresh, and also it will be early in the week. So weekly episodes will start being on Wednesdays. I think next time we'll probably talk about Moon Knight and Doctor Strange because those are new Marvel movies coming out, and I might try to force a Avatar conversation there because Avatar: Way of Water teaser trailers came out and it looks, wow, that looks really good. So I'll probably want to talk about that for a bit. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, our first episode. Hope you guys enjoy. Comment and tell us how we did. Any thoughts about moving, sports, Z4C. Put them in the comments or just Discord, DM us or whatever. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. We will see you all on the next one on Wednesday. Have a good day. Peace out.